Space Marine 2's Siege mode is really good, but is it too late? From the beginning of Space Marine 2, I've always said that this game needs a horde mode. This game is like the perfect game for one. And I was right, their Siege mode is absolutely amazing, honestly. I will be honest though, I haven't played Space Marine 2 in quite a while. I only sort of come back for the Siege mode, and so I did have to pick up the controls again. But, I did pick them up quite quickly when I did get into a game. So first of all, you'll notice that there's only two difficulties to choose from, which is normal and hard, which to be honest is quite, it's fine to be honest, because it can get really difficult like in the later rounds. So at the moment, I don't think you need anything harder than the hard difficulty, but I'll probably add the harder difficulties in the future as well, to be honest. One of the first things I noticed when I got into a game that there was a place where you can buy a lot of stuff with requisitions, and you can earn a lot of these requisitions by like challenges or just like going through the rounds, killing enemies. And trust me, you're going to want to get as much requisitions to buy stuff as much as possible, because the rounds do get a lot harder, and this will help you a lot. You can sort of like call in Marines, have different power-ups, sort of like more range damage, more defense, and they will also call in Space Marines, which does help a lot. And obviously you can like call in like for extra ammo and stim packs as well. But you can also find like ammo and like stim packs across the map. Like literally every round they will respawn in like a different location, which honestly I would do recommend looking around, finding them first, so you don't have to spend requisitions on this type of stuff, because you're gonna have to save as much as possible. I do actually really like this idea of spending requisitions on stuff and that, and you've got to spend it wisely, which I do really like. Some rounds you think I'm not gonna spend anything this round because I can do it, or like another harder round I'm gonna like save up for this round because it's going to be difficult and I might die. And I really like that. So you've got to really like sort of save and manage what you're buying and all that. But I will also add that it is pretty cool seeing like Marines fight with you, but also Space Marines. Like it's just cool to watch. So in total it will go to 25 rounds, and obviously every round it will get more difficult, but also every 5 rounds it will increase quite a lot in difficulty because it will go to another location. So basically round 1 to 5 it will be in one location, and round 6 it will go to another location. And I actually really like this, so you're not just in the same place all the time just killing waves every single round. It will change it up a bit and go to a different location. And as I said, I do really like that. It just changes it up a bit and changes the scenery. And on the end round of each location there will be a couple of bosses that you'll have to fight, which is really cool, to be honest. I do look forward to killing these bosses, but they can obviously be really difficult, and to be honest that's the time where you want to save up your requisitions and buy a load of stuff. But also at the end of every location, once you've completed the 5 rounds, you can decide to carry on to the next like 5 rounds, or you can just sort of end it, which I don't really get. I mean, I guess you can just end it because if you don't have any time, but at the same time if you do carry on, you won't lose anything. So I don't really see why you would like just stop, where you might as well just carry on until you die pretty much, because you're not going to lose any of your rewards every location you complete. And saying that every location you do complete, you do get a lot of rewards. What I also really like is that not every round is the same. You do also get objectives which you have to do. I mean, you can just leave them and just kill the enemies like normal, but it is best to do the objectives because you get more requisitions, and you know how important requisitions are. So it is best to complete the objectives. So honestly, I've had so much fun coming back to Space Marine 2 and playing their Siege mode, but I've actually heard a lot of comments saying basically it's too late, the player base has dropped a lot, and a lot of people are not going back to it. I do agree that it is kind of late. They should have released it earlier or when the game come out. A lot of people now have moved on to other games and sort of a bit bored of Space Marine 2 because there wasn't a lot to keep doing after. Obviously you had like the campaign, which was absolutely amazing, but after you completed that, you had multiplayer, which to me wasn't the best. I didn't really get into multiplayer, to be honest. And then the other best thing really was operations, which was really fun, but at the time you could do the operations and on high difficulties and all that, but that was it. It would just keep doing the same operations over and over again. And they have released a couple of operations since, and I have enjoyed their maps, but it's not enough to keep the player base, to be honest, because, you know, once you've done the operations, they'll just move on to another game again. So I do agree it has come out a bit late, but to be honest, I don't see why you can't come back to Space Marine 2 and play it, because to be honest, I come back to it, I played Siege mode, and it sort of got me into Space Marine 2 again, because I've now started playing some of the operations again. So, you know, hopefully this will also happen with a lot of people. You know, they'll come back to play Siege mode and they'll start getting into the game again. I also still think they're going to be adding a lot more stuff to Space Marine 2, you know, a lot more stuff to Siege mode, but also like new operations and all that. So, you know, people might get into other games, but hopefully all these updates to Space Marine 2, people just keep coming back and getting into it. But you've also got to remember that they are developing now Space Marine 3, so, you know, a lot of their attention is on that now. So if you're asking me, is it too late for it? Well, they've released it quite late, but it's never too late to go back to it, to be honest. And if you don't go back to it, you're missing out, honestly. It's so fun. And to be honest, if you haven't played Space Marine 2 in a while, when you do go back to it to play Siege mode, there's also probably a lot of operations you haven't completed either. So you're going to have a lot of like content to play now. So I do recommend going back to Space Marine 2 and just trying out the Siege mode, you know, especially just with friends. It's so fun, you know, and hopefully they'll just keep adding updates to it to make it even better. But, you know, let me know your thoughts. Have you come back to Space Marine 2 and played their Siege mode, or haven't you yet? Or, you know, are you thinking about it? Let me know your thoughts.